Min's Minute, Modcast with his mate Sadia, Perry, and Mo episode 212.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Min's Minute Modcast with his mates. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, now we have been away for a little while, but we are back with a punch. And I'm sure many of you have seen, we've been talking about AI for quite a little while now, and the first thing I want to discuss is this hype or is this real? So many of you might have seen this thing that's been going around in terms of, there seems to be a bit of a Ponzi scheme going on in terms of OpenAI makes a deal with Oracle, and then they make a deal with Nvidia, and then they buy a company, and everything seems to be going around, and as a result all the share prices of all of these big companies goes up, and then they're always in the news, right? And is it really feeding the hype cycle? Is it real, or do you think it's natural evolution because this is what's going to happen? Everything's just going to converge to a few real big players.
I've been seeing this Ponzi scheme for a while because many startups, and especially the AI startups, they have this evaluation like they are 1 billion or 2 billion or whatever, but their revenue is so little and their operational costs are over the roof. And who are they paying this operational costs are to Nvidia. So most of these companies ultimately are paying back Nvidia, but then the revenue wise is not so good. And I see this more as a bubble that is nearly going to burst, because if you look at how much GDP even the US is putting in AI is pretty significant. And I don't think so historically any country have put any amount of money on a single technology. I think it is now, it's very much focused on AI, and it's like do or die situation in this case. And we all know how much debt US government is having at this moment. And this is a scary moment at the same time, because we just don't know what next decisions will actually crash the economy, and AI may go with it or AI will actually survive. I think that will something that we need to see. And we also have to be very careful about our electricity bills, because if we want to make those or bring those machines like Nvidia or even now the Nvidia's competition and AMD, I think. So they are also, it's a very weird scenario because OpenAI is not paying AMD, but AMD thinks it's getting paid in some form or the other. There's no real money involved or exchange at this moment. So I think it's a grandfather or grand player of Ponzi scheme right now.
I saw recently, I had an email from Microsoft. So I use the Microsoft Office suite because I've been a corporate guy and I only know how to use Excel and PowerPoint, right? And I got, normally it's like £60 a year for like one user. And I got this email saying it's now going to be £85, right? Because now you get a Copilot included. And it's like, thanks. So I'm basically paying for the development for you to kind of test this out on me. So, it's just another thing of, ultimately, who is it that bears the cost for this? But I guess someone's got to pay. So there we go. Perry, what's your thoughts on this little merry-go-round?
Well, this reminds me of the whole internet bubble. So, God, do I feel old all of a sudden. But I remember working at PSINet when the internet hype was there. And PSINet was the biggest internet supercarrier in the world. And they were creating data centers, the first data centers all over the world where you could buy an internet server and you can open up your shop there, and opening up so fast. So all these investors were investing in these startups. I've seen these crazy startups, everybody driving a Porsche and playing soccer in the office room. And it was a crazy time. It was a lot of fun. And they would buy an internet server for sometimes even $100,000 a month because they were expecting a lot of traffic. Back then it was about traffic. It was about the internet bandwidth to your server. And it was crazy. And everybody was, it's gonna be like this and you're gonna do everything online. And they were absolutely right. Everything happened as they predicted, but not in the speed as they would have liked it to happen, because not everyone had a proper internet connection at home. So most people were still dialing in. But I've had a customer that was doing something like Spotify right now, but he was too early. So he's paying a shitload of money for his Spotify kind of servers, but everybody at home were dialing in and it didn't work. And I have the same feeling today with AI, that everything is happening. It's massive. Everybody's talking about it. And billion here and billion there. God, does AI love the word billions. And probably there's going to be a huge shakeout where the economy will crash, where, all these startups will crash, and then everything gets back to normal. It's almost like the chaos theory in nature. If you take a piece of land and you put a bunch of rabbits there, these rabbits will shake like crazy and create new rabbits. But nature makes sure that it's not going to be overpopulated. It stops at some point. It's weird because they're not watching, the BBC News. There's no one saying to these rabbits, no more sex for you today, guys. Stop creating new rabbits. Nature takes care of that. And then it normalizes. I think the same thing is happening with AI, we're not on the peak yet. More crazy things will happen, and then it will normalize. Then the chaos theory from nature will step in, I think. But what do I know? But it feels and it smells and it tastes the same way as the internet hype, God knows how many years ago.
The reality, the bubble, I don't know time-wise. I think there will for sure be a dip within the next couple of years at least, at a minimum. But I'm just thinking this out loud with all of you here while, Perry, you were mentioning your thoughts. In reality, we were thinking that we are giving our data and all these other things to these companies to train AI and all these things. But are we giving more than that? So the cycle, how it works is that these companies are doing innovation. Where does that money come from? It will come from the other companies, and they're doing like some kind of debts. I'll pay you in the future, I owe you type of thing. And then when they can't pay it, what happens is that the governments have to step in, and they're already in debt. But then more debt creation is going to happen, and at the end, who pays for all of that? I would say is people on the ground, the normal humans, right? Inflation is created. So it's even worse than I think what we think on the high level, and there could be a big economic crash like 2008 coming. That's how I'm thinking about it actually. And the other topic, you said about the subscription going up as well. Adobe did this a while back, and they have done it and executed really nicely. Before, you would buy like a Photoshop license or something like this, one time 60 quid or something like that. But now it's all subscription. So all businesses, if they're not subscription, if you look at the trends or anything, you're not a surviving business as a SaaS product or software.